All right, we're live. Everybody, take a deep breath. This is the welcome to the Puff and Ponder podcast, where conversations ignite. I'm your host Kevin Shahan, and joining me, as always, my co-host Kerr Viajante, joining us tonight. That you saw. Well, now he's back on screen. Ryan Miller of the Rocky Mountain Cigar Show. I in my notes, I only have like a single page. I asked, how's everyone doing tonight? And I almost don't want to say that because Kerr has been.
You noticed something different about me, Kev.
You're you got new. Your headphones match your undershirt. You look like you've dropped maybe about 5 pounds since our last show.
Well, yes, but anything else? Thank you for being observant of the blues.
Yeah, you're not eating jerky.
I shaved. I trimmed down the beard.
Oh,
I know
it's
nothing to yours guys' extent. Okay,
yeah,
so I get it.
Yeah,
but it was pretty long, and I was able to grab it, and it was starting to come to a nice point. It's been a couple of months. It was getting really thick.
Yeah, I didn't notice. So yeah.
Well, you could join my fucking family with that whole. People in my family don't even notice. I've been like this and like that, and I've clean shaven to nothing on my face, and freaking could walk through the house and like not one person notices.
Oh, that's a shame. It's a shame. They see you every day. So
yeah, but it's not like it's not like you're like, oh, you lost weight, you can't tell because you're around someone all the time. I get that part. It's like I had facial hair that covered everything, and then I have none.
Yeah. Maybe I think it's just the lighting. I think it's just the lighting. I didn't notice.
You know what?
I didn't expect you to fucking notice.
I was about 14 or 15, and I walked up. Now my brother had been shaving since he was like 11, right? He would have a 5 o'clock shadow at 3 o'clock at like 13.
Yeah.
And so I walked, and he's 8 years older than me. I walked up to him. I was probably like I said, like 12, maybe 13. I was like, oh, I got a little bit right here. He throws me a washcloth. He says, don't worry, just wipe it off.
Yeah. I tell me, I couldn't grow a decent beard until I was in my mid to late 20s. So when a lot of people, they always ask me bearding questions, they know I'm starting my beard company back up, and I always get that. And I'm like, man, like I said, look at this epic thing I have, and give us some time.
I've seen young Kev. There wasn't even hair thinking about growing on that face.
Yeah. It was my son could grow a better beard younger than I could, yeah.
Kevin just glues it on every morning. We all saw the picture he posted of like 17 years ago about his dad's shirt, where it was just like completely clean.
Completely
I
clean.
had to double take on that one and zoom in.
Yeah. I went with a goatee, like a really, really short, even shorter than Kerr's goatee for a long time. No mustache, but yeah. So, but yeah,
the Ricky Rackman look from MTV.
I don't remember him.
What? Oh well, he was from the Headbangers Ball.
Yeah, I wasn't into that, so I was never really in. All my friends watch Headbangers Ball. I to this day I still hate heavy metal. It's not my thing. So
really?
Yeah, no, never got into it.
I get confused for that as well. Everyone's like, oh, dude, you look like somebody that listens to grunge music. Like, look at you. You're bald. You're a big guy, slightly overweight, beard. Like, you've got to love Pantera. And I'm like, no, not at all. Do you get that ever, Kevin, when people are like, gotta listen to this new grunge song from XYZ band? You're like, I have no idea who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the drugs, it's the heavy metal. It's you must be into that. And I'm like, no, not into any of that crap. You get in my car, drives Jessica crazy, got classical music playing in my car. Only thing that ever plays in my car unless she gets into it. And I'm not except when I'm on my exercise bike, I listen to EDM. I like house music. So
that's just to get the heart rate going.
Yeah, it does. Gets me
It tells
it gets
EDM.
me
Electric
electronic
music,
electronic dance music.
like dubstep.
Yeah.
What the hell's dubstep?
Just house music.
All right.
Oh yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
older than you guys, and I am not dubstepping.
dude,
house.
wait for the drop, man. You gotta wait for the
Yeah.
drop.
Yeah, yeah.
My son Wyatt's been introduced me to some of the newer bands and actually some really good music, but I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
I'm a podcast guy when I'm on the road. I don't listen to music. I listen to talk radio, podcast, or like the Y files, like shit like that.
Oh,
I'm not
if
much
I'm
of a
if
music
I'm
person.
yeah, if I'm on a drive, if I'm more than an hour away from the house, there's always a podcast on. There's always something. Like I just pop up YouTube and just let it play through the car speakers, and that's it.
My
You know,
music
Joe
my
Ro-
music
yeah.
stopped in the 90s.
Yeah.
Same here.
Like,
I'm
it
not even
stopped,
a music person.
like mid to late 90s, I would say, is like where the bands that I like to listen to, it just stopped. Anything prior to like 1998, maybe 96 anything after that, it's few and far between.
NKO TV, not for me. So yeah, no.
No,
But
we had Menudo back when I was younger.
Menudo. Yeah.
Menudo.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that one member, what was it? Ricky, isn't something he made it big into the 90s.
Living La Vida
Ricky
Loca.
Martin?
Ricky Martin.
Yeah, Ricky Martin, yeah, living La Vida Loca. So
Yep. Yeah, he's but yeah, that's my music. I do listen. I've always been a Metallica fan. I'm not heavy metal like thrash metal. Some folks like
Yeah.
you said, Pantera, all that shit. I don't listen to that, but
yeah, I can listen to some Metallica. Like if someone else is playing it, it doesn't bother me. I don't seek it out. You know, obviously Enter Sandman, you know, song from my, you know, from my high school days. You know, I heard it a million times. So
yeah. Well,
yeah.
Well, the thing about it, in my opinion, and again, who the hell am I for music? I don't even listen to it anymore. In my opinion, I don't think Metallica's like what I would classify as like heavy metal. Like, I mean, they're metal, but
Yeah.
I consider heavy metal to like, you can't even listen to them because all they're doing is just like one long belch.
Oh,
You know, like
yeah,
that to
yeah.
me, I
not
can't
heavy
do
metal.
that.
Well, I guess that's a form of heavy metal, but I mean,
Scream metal or whatever genre they want to call it.
thrash or whatever that is. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you go back and you actually listen to Metallica's early stuff, that was very much progressive ahead of its time. In my
For the
opinion.
day, it was definitely heavy.
Oh yeah, I mean, and they've progressed. I mean, that's why they've been around for so long. Like them or you don't, they've progressed. They just didn't stick in that freaking vein of, you know, heavy shit and screaming. I mean, they've definitely have changed with the times. But
Yeah, he lives here in Vale Valley, actually.
What who does?
James Hetfield.
James Hetfield.
Oh, okay. I only know James and Lars. You know, that's only two. I don't know anybody else in the.
He got out of San Francisco. He's like, they don't really appreciate when you pull up with a deer strapped to your front of your vehicle.
Oh,
He said it's a very inviting community as long as you're like them.
Yeah. And now it's burning to the ground.
Very tolerant,
Yeah.
you know, unless you're like them. But yeah, it's
Yeah, I've been seeing the before we get into the show, we want to kick off with our newest partner of the Puff and Ponder podcast, rubbing dirt in a wound. Kerr and I was supposed to do an unboxing for Jerky Gent before the show started, but Kerr has misplaced his jerky. So look for the Jerky Gent unboxing coming soon. JerkyGent.com is not just another snack website. They're a flavor expedition for the connoisseur of craft beef jerky. Every month, their Beef Jerky Club subscription box delivers an assortment of premium mouthwatering jerky brands and flavors sourced from across the country. Their carefully curated selections ensure a unique tasting journey for their subscribers with new brands and flavors introduced every month. Link in the description below. Jerky Gent. So
listen, hold on.
I'm sorry for the laugh, but when I came in here, they were talking about Kerr misplacing jerk. I didn't realize it was for that. So
It was for our unboxing video.
I will accept for now the explanation that Kerr misplaced or has his jerky elsewhere. However,
So
when I get down to the fucking bottom of where this shit is, I have a right to come back and correct said freaking placement of jerky. Because when you said that, I was getting ready to go, Kevin, and I thought, you know what? For right now, it is considered misplaced, and I was the last person seen with the jerky. So we will put it at me misplacing it.
Ryan, I told Kerr Jen is inside right now covering for young Joe, and then I'm sure she found the packages. She's on the phone right now. They're going to be on the air for like 2 hours. You need to stop at the store and pick up 3 packages of jerky, and we need to refill these packages.
Like Slim Jim? Like, are they sticks? What does it look like? I don't. You fucking ate it. What did it look like when you ate it?
Yeah, Joe. She'd be like, Joe, do you remember how much jerky was in each pack? Yeah, I think it was like full. So Kara's gonna get three bags of jerky with more in it.
They better show up just freaking miraculously somewhere, because I know every place I've checked in here. And if I come out tomorrow and they're like in my freaking desk.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying? So I will accept the Kerr misplaced his jerky. Because that is what we do now. I don't like to presume, so I don't want to place guilt on someone that is not necessarily accurate. I have my suspicions. However, what we do know is that I misplaced the jerky.
That's it. Well, what cigar is everybody enjoying tonight?
Right?
Is that a Henry Clay? What is that? I can't. Oh, it's a Cavalier.
Yeah. Inner Circle.
Inner Circle.
That's blurry.
It kind of blew out a little bit on me, but that was on me. That wasn't the cigar.
Yeah, because it's 12 degrees, I'm sure, out there.
It's 22 degrees, man. It's not that cold.
22. God.
It's not that cold.
Yeah.
You put a long sleeve shirt on, you're good.
Yeah. What are you enjoying, Kerr?
Not jerky. I got the Sweetgrass Gringo.
Right on. And I am enjoying the Villiger TAA exclusive for 2024.
Nice.
So
very nice. Yeah, this is the 6x50.
Right on.
Let me ask you a question, Kev, if I may.
Yeah.
That's a brand I don't know much about. It's a brand I haven't gotten into. Is that brand like I always see them in like discount sections. And again, discount sections don't mean anything. Just means the cigar doesn't sell there. Okay, I totally understand. But I've never had a Villiger, and all of us are Villiger. Now they're making a TAA release, and I don't know. I kind of feel like they're coming back. Like I'm seeing them more and more.
Yeah, they do have a good marketing team behind them. So over the last like 2 years, you're starting to see them more and more. They do make some really, really nice stuff, like $15 and up cigars. But then on the flip side, they do make $2 cigars, where you can get them in a bundle, so they're kind of, on both spectrums. I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about the company either. I know they're like a really old company from what I remember. But I don't know a whole lot about them. I enjoy just about everything I have from them. So
yeah, they're not bad. I mean, I've smoked several other cigars, and it's I think we got, what was it, the Libertad, with the red band.
I can't remember. That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, we got that little pack in the mail. It was like a gosh almighty. Anyway, you see them around a lot. You know where I see? It's funny, Ryan. You mentioned about how you see them a lot in discount bins, and again, you can't judge a cigar based off of that. I've seen plenty of great cigars in a freaking cigar bin because for whatever reasons. But I find that Villiger is in a lot of smoke shops, not necessarily traditional. I mean, they are in traditional cigar shops. Don't get me wrong, but like a lot of the smoke shops that you see, and whether it's a vape shop with a humidor or liquor stores with a humidor, I see a lot of Villiger or like
Mhm.
we have a lot of stores around here that do you pull in, they got all the different lotteries and stuff, and then they got a humidor in the
Yeah.
back. Villiger all over the place.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and then I see the same thing. So I don't know, is Villiger one of these big company owned by a much bigger company, and that's how they get into that? So I don't know. So I think it was started by a guy named Heinrich Villiger, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Who owns Villiger?
I don't know.
God, my
Let's
camera is just screwing up here, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know who owns. I'm looking up right now to see who owns, but they again. I mean, I think that they do have a good selection of cigars. Like you said, they have their high end. They got their little cigarillos. You've seen them before. I know I've seen them all over the place. Little packs.
Oh, yeah. I see that they produce more than 1 billion dry cured European style cigars each year.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
so they're obviously a big company.
Yeah.
So 130 years old. So
Yeah, they've been around for a bit, but I think also, you got to give a hats off to a company because I know I've, having a small boutique company as well as if you go to your local cigar shop and if they're like, yeah, I don't want to bring anything in, but you have like several freaking vape shops or whatever that are going to bring your stuff in, bring it in. Someone says, how do I get cigars? How do I get your cigars in Simpsonville? Well, you got to go to this place over here. Well, what about the cigar shop? No, they don't carry me,
There
but
we
that
go.
place does.
Yeah.
We're at like Smoke and Brew, and that's kind of a big, CBD, bomb and stuff. But the guy's got a great, incredible bar with like 20 beers on tap, and he's got a freaking kick-ass humidor.
I know. Yeah,
Why
go
not?
ahead.
No, please go ahead, Kev.
I was gonna say, like, I could see a place like that, especially like a bar. They got like 20 like craft brews or something. I would think places like that would be more open to carrying, boutique, cigars from boutique companies, just because that's what they are. That's what they carry.
Yeah.
Like boutique beers.
You know what? The couple that I've kind of interacted with, and even like Wine Express, right? Because they have the bar side with the wine and the beer, and they have a big bar with like about 30 beers on tap too. They have a good selection of boutique cigars as well. Well, to your point, if you really want to boil it down to craft beer, craft, cigars, et cetera, they're all kind of in the same vein. It's not Budweiser, it's not
Yeah.
Fuente, so but yeah, I mean he's the guy who at Smoke and Brew, they have a pretty nice little selection. Dude, Ryan, pick a camera, dude.
It's driving me insane because
All I
I've
hear is
seen is me
click,
going
click,
like
click.
this.
You're going off. You're going
Oh,
on.
you're
You're
hearing clicks.
it's like watching the fucking Ring. You're like,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just driving me insane that I go away for a couple weeks. I turn everything back on, and this.
Yeah, and then always sees your head at the very bottom of the screen.
I see is your freaking head, and then when you start talking, it's like a poorly dubbed movie.
I know it's driving me insane.
I swear to God,
Right.
I want to freaking watch that. I'll watch The Heist or whatever that I think on freaking Netflix.
All right, I'll get it there.
So did you watch any football yesterday?
No, I watched some
Saturday.
yesterday. Yeah, yesterday was just this weekend was just a madhouse. Well, Saturday I don't get to watch it. I work all day Saturday.
Mhm.
But yeah, I caught some replays, some recaps, and it looked like some good games. Kerr, who moved forward in the NFL?
Well,
The
for all those who
rounds.
do like the NFL, right? Because we all know that college football, and we know that Notre Dame and Ohio State are going to be playing in the national championship, which is great. And I hope that that game is going to be over at halftime, which I suspect it will.
Yeah,
The overrated freaking Notre Dame. So the Ravens just shit stomped the Steelers. I mean, Ravens
Yeah.
are tough, man. They are. Their quarterback's awesome. They got a pretty solid defense. The Bills. I was actually kind of surprised to see the Broncos make the playoffs, but they had a really sneaky good year. They got a young quarterback, but the Bills shit stomped them, of course. And the Eagles Packers game was really competitive, and I saw someone post, here's where the referee took the ended the Packers season, and I was like, no, the Packers did because they freaking tackled the guy, and they blew the whistle, let him go. You start throwing people down, they're going to call penalties. Your lack of discipline is what lost you the season. What ended your season. So the Eagles, they it was I think it was a close. It's 22-10, but it definitely the Eagles. It was not as close as what it seemed. And then the Redskins. Listen to me. The Commanders and the Buccaneers game. That was a good game. That was a really good game.
yeah.
Yeah. The Washington has a solid team this year, and the Buccaneers are really solid. It came down to big plays and key mistakes. But so you got the Bucks, the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Bills all moving forward. And tonight, the Rams, who are my team.
Yeah, James Williams here. Go Bills. I was just watching a video today of their new stadium that they're building.
Yeah.
And all the technology they're putting into it. And yeah, it looks like
how about a roof? How about that technology for Buffalo?
Because it's so windy, I guess as the wind comes in, they're going to have these diffusers that is going to create a bubble, a dome of air above the stadium that is going to keep out the weather. It's going to create this dome, this little bubble, and it's going to keep the weather out.
That's interesting.
I don't believe that for a minute. But like I was saying, the Rams tonight are playing the Minnesota Vikings. That's going to be an interesting game.
Oh, where are they playing? In Minnesota or?
They're playing. It's supposed to be in LA, but obviously with all the fires and everything, they're playing at a different stadium. I can't remember where they said that they're going to be playing it. Let's see here. It's in Arizona. They're going to be playing in Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah. So some good games. I mean, then you got next week. I mean, this is the time where you'll see did a lot of these teams, these first top seeds, did the rest. Is it going to impact them? Because the Houston Texans are playing the Chiefs, and the Eagles are going to play. It's all going to depend on who wins because of the seeding with the Rams and the Vikings versus the Commanders. So
yeah.
Oh wait, the Commanders are playing the Lions. That's right.
Now you're talking about the wildfires, man. I have been seeing the last 2 days people pissed for North Carolina.
Yeah.
Still can't get roads built. Can't get all of this. Biden comes in and says, for the next 90 days, everything's on us. Government's taking care of everything. We're going to take care of you. Go ahead, Ryan. Now we can't hear you.
Okay. So, first off, fix my screen. Fix the computer. Okay. It's first time turning it on in a while. Okay. So thank you for bearing with me on that. Only 20 minutes into the show. I know I'm always a joy to have on. Thank you, Kerr. But I'm mixed on the fires.
You like them or you don't? Is that what you mean?
No, I'm mixed. I'm mixed on how I feel they should be handled in the sense of assistance. I would say it's probably safe to assume that 90% of the people in the Palisades, at least, that lost everything. I'm only speaking of the Palisades, okay, because it's now branching out. But the vast majority of the people in that area, their day and their life is not going to be affected from a financial aspect of how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to eat? They have the money. They can go. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't feel bad for them. A fire like this is terrible. But the difference in North Carolina, there's a lot of poverty in North Carolina where the hurricane went through. They're not nearly as well off as the Palisades. Government assistance should go to the more needed group, not who their better friends are. And that's what this looks like, because people in North Carolina were given $750. 2/3 of them were denied that. And now the people in the Pacific Palisades are going to get their $30 million home rebuilt.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong in that thought.
Listen, I hear what you're saying, and I look at it this way, right? The federal government is there to protect its citizens, right? That is the purpose of the federal government, right? Keep the country running, protect your citizens, not all this other shit. And I think whenever you have a situation like this, whether it's the hurricane or the fires, that is what your federal government is for, is to come in and provide assistance. To provide assistance to the state, because the state should already have something in place to support their citizens, because we do believe in states' rights. Like the term states' rights kind of goes out the window, depending on whatever your need is and whatever your agenda is. But if you look at this objectively, the state has their obligation; they have to take care of their citizens, and the federal government there is to provide additional help and additional support, because that's what the need is. And it doesn't matter whether it's Palisades, $30 million, or freaking Hendersonville and a $10,000 trailer. It's still there to provide that, whether it's temporary, long-term support, especially these people are going to be displaced, whether you're a freaking millionaire or you're a freaking hundredaire, you're still displaced. You're still freaking going through crisis. You still lost a lot of shit. You're still freaking going through a lot of trauma. And I believe that is what it's set up for. And that's the responsibility of the federal government. Now, I think what you're seeing is exactly, kind of what ends up, twisting things and leaning people in one direction or the other. Is you had the hurricane hit North Carolina. You did see some news about it, not a lot. You did hear some chatter about it, not a lot, or maybe not as much as we would have liked to have seen this. With these fires, it's big news. It's on the news. It's in sports. It is, every time you see something, you hear something, you flip on, the Yahoo News. It's going to be big news, and I think that, and along with some of the announcements that you had mentioned, Ryan, I think do make people go, really? And then you harken back to some of the news that came out where some of the folks at FEMA were being directed to not help anybody with a Trump sign on their front lawn. I mean, you start bringing up facts like that. It really makes the federal government look really shitty and very biased, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's, I'm sorry, I don't care. I could give a flying shit whether you're a Democrat or Republican. That is an objective fact. It just is.
Correct. Correct.
When you get into like what you're saying, you got to dig in deeper. Why is there no water? Why is there no? I mean, they were just. I know Joe Rogan was talking about this, and I think even when Trump was on there, he talked about the reservoirs in California, and how they used to be so robust and full, water coming down from Canada, and now they're freaking dry, or there's hardly anything there. At some point, there's a responsibility that state has their citizens, and you can see a huge failure. And I think you've seen a failure in North Carolina, and I think you're seeing a huge failure in California for its citizens.
Without a doubt.
I agree. Go ahead. Sorry, Kev.
No. I was going to say, I said, you guys have had some fires over the years in Colorado, right?
Yeah. And to be honest with you, they're just as, listen, they're as bad here in Colorado with forestry care as they are in California. Like you'll be driving through the mountains and you just see whole stacks of just dead trees stacked like somebody's just ready to go. Like it's a fire for a giant, right? Like a bonfire starting, like whole trees. They leave it there. They leave it there. They leave it there. They leave it there. And then when somebody farts the wrong way and causes a spark, now the whole world ignites. And they stand around and go, how did this happen? How did this? Well, let's look at satellite imagery of the forest and look at all the burn pits that you guys just leave there. Like Black Forest still has stacks of burned trees from like 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago from the fire that hit there over that, because it was before we showed up. And like they're still there. Like it's asinine to me that we allow regulators to have any say in how these forests are run. The EPA is the worst thing for this for the environment. Because of the EPA, a huge fire happened in LA because of the smelt. They were trying to save some red-bellied, speckled, two-eyed, four-eyed smelt or something like that, and they diverted water. Who gives a shit about the fish? Like, I'm sorry. This bothers me to no end because it just shows the pure incompetency of all government, from local all the way up. And it shows the exact reason why we need to get rid of as much of it as humanly possible.
Yeah,
and the federal government.
That's it. And you see these in these, and I don't want to make it a red state, blue state, but you
no,
look at
that's
Florida,
why I didn't.
But you look at Florida. We have we've really good forest management. We have controlled burns all the time. We're all, even in my small city, we're always clearing the forest. We got forest management. We're doing control burns. I see that all over Florida, and you don't see these. I mean, and I mean, with that being said, we're not Colorado. We're not, California. We don't have these massive forest.
Well, you guys aren't as dry either.
And you don't have that. But here's the problem too: is I find it ironic of what you're saying, Kevin, and you don't have the massive taxes that some of these states have.
Yeah,
because a lot of the taxes that are being paid to the state should be going to the upkeep of the state. Whether it's the roads, the forests,
bridges,
bridges, et cetera. And unfortunately, politics have turned into utilizing these taxes for their own little chit box, their own little per diem, or whatever it is that they want to use their money for. And it's I don't think it's a red state, blue state thing. I think it is. I think it is looking at it and saying, if 10 other rational people looked at this, would the majority of these folks come up with the same conclusions? That's the definition of being objective.
Yeah, it definitely mismatch. I mean, you look at the billions that California has spent on trying to fix the homeless problem, which hasn't worked, trying to fix the drug problem, which hasn't worked, crime, their $10 billion high-speed rail that has been built like an eighth of a mile.
Monorail.
Yeah, monorail. Yeah.
Hold on, it's gotten up to an eighth of a mile already.
Wow. Is it? It might not. I mean, it just might be that one single section.
Just one rail. Literally a mono.
But yeah, it's and then to cry, woe is me when something happens. It's like, I do feel bad for people that are displaced, and it's just and you see like all these people that hate the government, that are bad mouthing the government. Like, you voted these people in.
This is just to get red versus blue. Just for a quick second, this is purely Democrats.
Not all of them voted him in, but I see what you're saying.
No, this is purely Democrats. This is purely Democrat mismanagement of the state of California. Now, getting off of red and blue, because red and blue, incompetence knows no color. But if we're going to label it as one thing, it is a Democrat state for the last 60 years, and it's been mismanaged horribly. But I think everybody laughed at Trump when he said, "Oh, just go and rake, just go and rake, just go and rake." Yeah, that's what they need to do. You look at like Finland; these guys have massive like vehicle rakes that they drive through the woods crashing, crushing, and sucking up everything in the underbrush. Like this is the thing that most people don't understand about a wildfire. Trees don't make a difference.
Yeah.
It's the underbrush.
Yeah.
It is what's on the forest floor. It's not because trees are dense together that there's a fire. It is all underbrush. If anybody's ever tried to light a wet log, they'll understand tree. That's why you see burned trees still standing and growing leaves. Like, it's the underbrush. That is what they're failing to understand, or at least what they're failing to manage because of some insect or furry creature that they're trying to save. Like just kill the damn thing already. Somebody should just go out and kill whatever they're trying to save, and then there's no need to save it. And then we can just watch everything go back to normal. I know this is
I had a buddy years ago worked for the FWC, the Federal Wildlife Commission, and he was commissioned to go to South America to kill off a bunch of frogs that were eating these rare endangered orchids. Well, then another group found out that he was killing the frogs. They're like, well, the frogs are endangered. You know, you can't be killing the frogs. And going back and forth after a couple months, he just came home. He's like, hey, when you guys get this worked out, you give me a call. It's never ending. Yeah. A big business here in Florida is if you own a brush hog where you go into these lots, you know, me and 10 friends could start brush hog businesses tomorrow, and it still wouldn't be enough businesses. We'd be busy 7 days a week. People are always they buy these other lots surrounding their houses, and they want them cleaned out, get them thinned, properly managed. That's just something, you know, I don't know, just something in Florida. We know we just manage our land around us.
That's because you know, in a lot of cases, you know, you figure after the first time a big fire broke out and winds and all that in a brush, someone says, hey, you know, really made that worse. All this dry shit on the ground. And like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Hey, you know what? Maybe we should, you know, take some money and we should keep that freaking look. Bob's place didn't burn. What happened to Bob? Bob's got a really good. You know what? Maybe we ought to kind of do that in a bigger scale, and it probably will help. And they're like, you know what? That's a great fucking idea. Let's get that done. You would figure that would be like the case, right?
Yeah. We learned that on the hurricanes. You know, especially if you're new to the state, you know, you lose a lot of stuff. You put hurricane shutters up the next year. You know, when your neighbor's lawn stuff start, you know, or when your lawn stuff goes into your neighbor's house through his front window, you learn the next time you put your lawn furniture away. You know, so you know, it seems like in some of these states they don't learn. They just keep
look at Hurricane
keep rebuilding.
It's like, yeah, I ain't moving my house. I don't care about no hurt. It's like or tornado. Listen, it's every year a bunch of fucking tornadoes come through this area and destroys your house, and then you rebuild it in that same spot. You know, move it a little bit over. I mean, I know some of these folks can't afford to move out of that area, and it's, I don't know. Sometimes it sounds like they're just being so defiant and stubborn and such. But I mean, when you do have a state where, you know, you it's not only within your own state, but you do see, you know, I would have to imagine that some of these governors talk to each other, and it's like, hey, what do you guys do when you have a problem like that? Oh, well, this has worked really well. Well, maybe we should steal that idea, or maybe we could kind of learn from that. It's almost like it's like, oh man, that sucked. So what do we do next time? I don't know, man. Let's just keep doing it this way. I mean, we didn't have a fire for like how long? That was a pretty long time between we had last fire. So that's not bad. That's the way that's what the mentality it comes across. Instead of being preventative and eliminating fires or the potential for fire spread, it's just like, well, it's been a real long time since that happened.
Yeah, we'll wing it.
Yeah, we'll just keep doing it. Yeah, I'll probably have another 10 years. 15 if we're lucky, right?
Well, like what's crazy to me is that everyone's blaming global warming for all of this.
Climate change. Why?
And climate change.
We don't call it global warming anymore.
My thing of it is like, okay, so I think his name was Dan Pena, billionaire, philanthropist, real estate guy. He gave a speech one time, and he was talking. Somebody asked him the question. He said, "You know how you know global warming's bullshit? The fact that these mortgage companies will give you $30 million for a home 10 feet from the beach. If global warming was going to happen in 10 years from now, they're not getting their money back." Like, that's how you know it's BS. And like, you're like, wow, okay, so these are actuary tables. These are people looking at the financial investments in an actuary table and making the judgment of that loan. That holds pretty good numbers. But when you then look at California and you go to invest in California, it might be 5 years before you break ground.
Oh yeah, I was just listening to Adam Carolla, and which he is he loves California, but he hates the government, and and he was telling stories about pulling permits, and he goes watch these people. Even he goes, doesn't matter how rich you are. He goes, it's 3 years. It's 3 years before one piece of lumber will be dropped on any of those properties. He was talking about I forget which actor it was, like last year, 2 years ago, wanted to build a swimming pool on his $10-20 million home, and California made him do a double hull.
Mark Zuckerberg. That was Zuckerberg. Right?
Was it Zuckerberg?
Was it? I think it was Zuckerberg.
I don't think he said Zuckerberg, but I could be mistaken.
I know the story you're talking about.
But yeah, it had to be a double hulled pool, because what happens if the pool leaks? And then where's that water go? What's it going to
Mark
affect?
Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg. That's what it was. So he had to put a double hulled, like who cares? Like, he's got the money. It doesn't make it, but it's still like, that's the dumbest thing ever. It's fucking water.
Okay, so I'm going to throw out the craziest conspiracy theory, Kevin. I'd love to get your opinion on this, that I've heard from this. Now, this is a hell of a conspiracy theory, and this is also a hell of a way to go about getting rid of evidence. But this was started to stop the Diddy stuff from going forward.
I've heard that as well.
Okay, so I'm not the only one that heard that. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a firm believer.
Fires?
Yeah, because apparently it burned all the major homes that had correlations to Diddy.
So I'm a firm believer in the Jeff Borshowitz from Corona Cigar theory, that and it's not a conspiracy, it's just his theory that Diddy got raided because a lot of influential people found out he had a lot of dirt and a lot of film and everything else, and they pressured the government. The government came in, took all of this stuff, and it's never going to see the light of day, and that man is going to die in prison, and all of this stuff is going to get swept under the table. A little bit may come out. We may see some low-level celebrities, get the axe. Ashton Kutcher is definitely moving to Europe. They're definitely moving overseas. But I find that theory more plausible. Like, the government came in and said, you know what, let's just get all of this, and what gets lost, what doesn't get lost. If it doesn't get inventoried, how do we know it ever existed?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think Epstein had an island?
Yeah.
It's hard to raid an island.
That's it.
I don't know. I think they're. You had mentioned my Y-Files. And Y-Files has stuff on Illuminati. It has stuff on Masons. I don't think necessarily as much on the Masons about this, but I do believe Bilderberg. I do believe that there is an echelon of people that run the world, and everybody just plays catch up. And I find it fascinating when upper world management gets nervous and people start dying left and right. Like Epstein killed himself, apparently. Diddy's, none of this stuff's gonna come out. Diddy's gonna run. Like it's funny to me what gets actually released, and it's scary to me what doesn't get released. It's the old adage when you talk to the people that are serial killer profiles, and they say what scares them the most is the fact that the ones they don't catch. Because the ones you do catch, you know their crimes. It's the ones you don't catch that you should be really fearful of, or you don't hear anything about. That's how I kind of feel like the upper echelons of government, world government is. And again, maybe that's a little crazy. I don't know. But there's a lot of very powerful people that don't want things to exist that all of a sudden, like the whole Josie Wales thing, once I start to not like somebody, they don't exist, they just die, it's the same concept.
Oh yeah. I believe in the Bilderbergers. I believe in that, like I said, the one world order. I think it exists, and I think they're just, they're just running things, hence our current president Biden. You don't think
plant.
That's it. Someone, the marionette pulling the strings on his entire, does Trump survive the inauguration? Cause they really don't, especially, some of his picks, they really don't want Kash Patel in the FBI. He has already said he's releasing everything. So,
well, it'll be interesting if that's the case. So some of his picks, when you start, when I would start reading some of the announcements, I was like, "Are you fucking seriously?" Like, it's like, hey, who can I pick that would just irritate and piss everyone off?
Yeah.
That's who I'm gonna fucking pick for this position. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was almost intentional, just to pick someone to piss something, and it is interesting when you talk about the new world order, the one world order, and everyone's always looking to get some sort of a globalization of things, but I don't know. It's the fires now. It was just think about this for a minute, okay? How fucking bizarre is it that within a year, maybe two, the government came out and said, "Hey, yeah, those spacecrafts that you're seeing, we don't know what they are.
Yeah.
We can't say that they're from this Earth. We can't say they're not from this Earth, but we don't know what they are." And we got an investigation going into it, and here's someone who's gonna freaking be a whistleblower. And as a lot of these guys who are whistleblowers, a lot of them are out there to give out misinformation, disinformation,
Oh yeah.
throw you off. And we've experienced that. We have this drone thing going on in New Jersey. We got wildfires. Like, these things are just going on, and we're just going about our day like, oh shit, man, look, man, there's drones, and the government's being quiet about it, and they're all over the place, and they look a little funky, and they said they're not, they don't know what they are, but don't worry, they're not harmed, they're not dangerous. Yeah, listen, I'd like to have a Big Mac, a large order of fries. Like, it's like you did this. Some of the shit that's been coming out, I can't. It blows my mind.
It's like the old English phrase during the war. What was it? Forget it and move on, or what was that? What is that phrase you always see on the stickers? What is that? Was that? I forget what it is, but it was I can't remember. It's something like basically don't look up, like forget it, march on, keep about your daily, don't worry about what's going on.
Keep your head
down. Don't worry about it. Things are going to be okay. Everybody's like, all right, bombs dropping from the sky. Yeah, don't worry about that.
But some of the news, I remember, when it occurred, people were like, listen, the government just said that there's probably aliens, and no one batted an eye.
Yeah.
Did you guys listen to the Joe Rogan, I think his name was Steve Grace, episode a couple weeks back?
I don't think so.
So Joe Rogan and Steve, and then as well as with another later episode about a week ago, they actually were talking about how when you look at the way this stuff flies, when you look at the way this stuff could literally go from 0 to the speed of a plane and then just gone, like we don't have that technology. And they went and wrapped it all with like, we know the multiverse exists. We now know because of the creation of the Willow chip, the quantum
Yes.
computing,
Yes.
that the multiverse does in fact exist. We have no idea how the fuck it works. We have no idea how to use it the right way. We're probably going to blow all of civilization up. And this is going to be James Cameron's wet dream of a Terminator movie in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Like it feels like that, right? And so he's like, you know, what happened if this is like other alien, not aliens per se, but us from another multiverse realizing that we finally got this, because all of this started when Willow was announced, and then all of a sudden they're looking over us to make sure we don't fuck it up for everybody else, because they're in the future. If we fuck it up, they might go, or like, and it gets into the crazy. Your mind can kind of go to crazy places when you don't have an understanding of what it is. But I just thought it was an interesting thing, because the reality of it is they're not giving off heat signatures. They're flying as fast as our planes and then just leaving them in the dust. A human would experience G forces in a way that it would just flatten their body, the way some of these things are flying. What happens if that is kind of a reality of it, right? Is they knew we discovered it. It's our time. This is going to now jumpstart us into whatever. Maybe this is AI coming back, like it because eventually they're going to hook AI or AGI, artificial general intelligence, which is very scary, up to Willow. And now what does that do? Like, these guys don't even know what AI is. They don't know how it works or at all. But it's crazy to think that if the multiverse is real, these things started showing up shortly before or shortly after Willow was announced. Could this potentially be something from the future, making sure we don't fuck it up?
Or just like I said, a lot of people don't believe it's actual like going from point A to point B. Like, you know, we see them take off, but it's really just interdimensional travel. It's like
they're not taking off. They're disappearing.
They're just
essentially.
disappearing. They're going back.
That leads credence to the multiverse aspect.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's Spider-Man.
I believe half of it's us. And by the way, that phrase was "keep calm and carry on." You always see that, keep calm and carry on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of it's us. I think we do have the craft. I think we've literally had it since the 50s. We don't understand how it works. We test some of it. And I think, yeah.
Well, what's that doctor's name? Who's the big UFO guy? Stephen Greer. So
Stephen Greer. Yeah. Oh, I almost don't believe him because he's still alive.
Well, it is funny when you hear somebody.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny is there's just so much crap out there that you don't know what to believe, what not to believe. You don't know what is BS, what is disinformation, misinformation. But one of the things that he always talks about is that, you know, he said that he's got a security detail around him at all times now. That he's had colleagues that were killed, colleagues that died over the years, and that he's claiming that there's going to be some big announcement that's going to occur. And according to Dr. Greer, it should be any fucking day now. He was talking about it being in and or around inauguration, around that time frame.
Yeah.
Not that it was timed with that, but it was around that time.
Lou Elizondo. But
this is
2025.
But this isn't going to be UFO showing up and saying, "Hey, we're real."
Yeah.
This is going to be from. I believe what he was saying is this is going to be some sort of an announcement where there's going to be individuals working on a project that are going to come out and really be a big whistleblower and say, "Hey, here's what we're going. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we're working with," and this isn't, little green men altogether. A lot of this is our technology. You talk about the Skunk Works. They talk about, Lockheed Martin. They talk about all these companies that have been making and producing these ships, these crafts over the years. And that is what he is talking about going to be a big announcement. So it looks like we only have about 7 days, according to what he's telling me. I'll give him 10. I'll give him a couple extra days since he's an ER doctor,
Yeah. Yeah. Is the inauguration on the 20th?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is the inauguration the same day as the college football championship?
21st?
Oh, is that because the championship's next Monday? Yeah. Monday night is they're playing on inauguration day.
There you go.
That's kind of strange.
Well, I think inauguration's at like noon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because that's when they pass the torch. Yeah, because like by noon. I remember they I think a few of the big wigs in Trump's organization says y'all have till noon to get out. Like when we get there, you better not be there.
Mhm.
Like get out. You all resign, quit, do whatever, get out. So
Well, yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, that Stephen Greer is a pretty interesting cat, like you said. I mean, when you got someone who's blasting that much information out there and they're still alive, or that Alessandro guy. I mean, when he said, "Yeah, whenever someone says the Pentagon allowed me to do X, Y, Z, I'm like, slow your roll, bro."
Lou Elizondo is a government plant that is
100%.
he's the one giving the misinformation out there. I think he does know a lot, but the government is using Lou Elizondo and he knows it. He does have the information. He worked, on he was the head of ATIP, so he knows what's going on. But
I mean, he's
got the credentials,
believable.
but I don't believe Lou Elizondo to a certain degree.
No, I think
so.
Anytime someone references what the Pentagon says he can and cannot say, I'm like, I don't believe a fucking word you're saying. That I mean, what you're doing is you're trying to lead people in a different direction, or I don't know.
Yeah,
it is interesting though.
That's it. Commander Faber, all those guys are the true whistleblowers. So those guys,
Yeah. Because what I think Greer was saying that Tic Tac that he saw was a Skunk Works.
I think that's what he was saying.
He said he goes, they've had that since the 50s. Like they're just sticking around with that freaking thing, and what's his face, Lazar, the one that everyone laughed at for years and thought was a kook. It's like how many years later they're like, that element that does exist. Oh well, that
and
look at the way they're flying. It does make sense.
And then when he made that claim on Joe Rogan, like, hey, did you take any of it? Like, do you have any? And like he wouldn't answer the question. And he got the day after that got released, his whole facility got raided. I'm like, they so I don't know.
It's an interesting concept, but I think Ryan, you're right. I think you could take all the UFO crap, the freaking drones, beam me down, freaking multiverse, freaking Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, that whatever. The AI and what they're doing with AI is fucking, that is frightening. I think it's either people that are developing something and it's like watching a baby play with a freaking like a poisonous snake, or like a kid with a chainsaw, you don't know what the fuck they're doing, they kind of do, but or they do know what they're doing, which is even scarier. I think it's a lot of not knowing and just being so quick to want to freaking be first and be freaking inventive and be progressive and be rich that it's like, listen, dude, Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to show up at your front door, man. He's going to shoot you. This is the way it goes.
Yeah. When you listen to the creators of the Willow chip, like before they created that in interviews, they're flat out asked, how does AI work? They go, we don't know. Like we just coded it together and then it works. That's why some people feel it's not of this world. It's actually tapped into something different because nobody understands it. listen, I work for one of the leading companies working with NVIDIA, Google for AI. And whenever I hear something, I'm not concerned about it. Because if I'm hearing about it, it means it's not really that important.
Yeah.
I'm concerned with what you don't hear, because even Bill Gates, take him for face value, whatever, even he says the issue with AI is when AI learns to create AI.
Mm-hmm.
And now AI's AI creates AI. And this is not going to be like multiplicity, Steve. This isn't going to be creating retards. This is going to be creating
I like pizza.
humans. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to be, how do you like that reference from 30 years ago?
Yeah.
That's a great movie, though. A great
movie.
You touched my peppy, Steve.
Yeah.
But
Oh
no,
my God.
like these are, we don't even understand. And the issue is, I saw this put on a chair chart once, or a stair chart, just like boom, 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 boom. And they said, if you take where we are now, we're down here. As soon as AI creates AI, it's already automatically way up here on the stairs. We will never catch up to it. And then once that AI creates super AI or SGA, super or SAGI, super artificial intelligence, we're not even gonna, there's gonna be no point to us thinking. Like, that's the scary part of it. And then here, so they create this Willow chip, right? Which is it solved an equation that would take, according to the scientist, all the supercomputers that would fill the universe, 10 septillion. Our brain, that might as well be infinity. Our brains just can't even calculate that.
I just watched the Y files on that just this afternoon.
Can't even calculate and comprehend that. Willow solves it in under 5 minutes. Now, one of those two people are lying. One of those two things are either made up or lying. Right. Either it wasn't that hard of an equation, or Willow actually solved the hardest equation known to man in under 5 minutes. That's what's scary, right?
That's a big leap, though, right? When you think about, like, for it to be that unrealistic of a time frame for the world's biggest supercomputer. They didn't say
everything is linear.
They didn't say, "Hey, man, this is going to take them this would take them 10,000 years or 1,000 years." They're like, "This is going to take 10 quadruplet, hundreds of millions of years." And Willow, I went and got coffee and came back, and it was already there.
And that's the scary
Willow says,
side.
"Hold my beer."
That's the scary side, is because every computer works on a linear basis, right? It looks at an equation, it does the math, and then it goes to the next line. Looks at the equation, does the math, and then goes to the next line. And again, I'm being very simplistic in my approach and explanation here. What they just did was they opened the door for it to take multiple different variations of outcomes of lines and do the math all at once.
Yeah, they were explaining how computers read is the binary code is 1 zeros, 1 zeros. So as computers try and plug in the ones and zeros, and then through process of elimination, it can come up with the answer. This actually can Willow
foresee it.
And no, not only foresee it, but it can actually do both. It could actually produce 1 and 0 at the same time.
Correct. Which is the multiverse, which shouldn't happen. Which shouldn't happen. Not logistically, but theoretically, that's possible. But it's only been theoretical until Willow. And when theoretical becomes reality, that's pretty fucking scary. Or it can be, depending on whatever the theoretical thing is you're talking about.
I am a firm believer in that AI is going to save humanity.
Well, I think we're going to be the slaves.
I think
we're going to be batteries.
I look at. Did either of you guys watch the show Orville?
Mm-mm.
Oh no, it looks interesting though.
Oh, that was the kind of like the Star Trek knockoff that the creator of Family Guy did.
Yeah.
Great series. You got to watch it. And I think they only had 2 or 3 seasons, but I think that's the way it's going to be. I think AI is going to get to the point where humanity, we don't have to work anymore. We don't have to slave away at jobs. We'll get to do what we want. We will still work because we're going to get bored and we just want things to do. So that's the only reason that we're going to go to a job. It's not going to be for monetary value. I think AI is going to get to the point to where, you know, it's going to save humanity.
But if it's that fucking great, why can't it freaking produce a picture without 6 fingers or a cigar in someone's fucking nose?
Well, that's a hallucination. That's a
spell
hallucination.
Spell Stony Road cigars correctly.
That's a hallucination. That's a hallucination, and those are going away. Like that's and the other crazy side of it is Google announced that they need to have 3 nuclear reactors to run the will. What the fuck are they gonna do with 3 nuclear reactors worth of energy? That's what I want to know. Like, come on. Like you're talking states worth of power.
Well, I mean, considering that Google is, we were circling back to, you know, global warming. How many windmills would that be?
Yeah. How many? Yeah, all of them, plus all of them again.
December less than a 30% power capacity as far as producing power. So for one rotation,
eventually we're going to pull power from the ether, from the cosmos. You know, we'll have these devices where you're not plugged into the grid. Your refrigerator will have its own power source. Everything will have its own power source. Just pulling.
Yeah, the original Tesla idea.
Just pulling it from the ether.
The windmill
plug it in the ground.
The windmill thing was a joke. But
but you're not wrong.
Was it my delivery that
no.
Yeah,
Kevin and Ryan on the same like fucking Johnny Literal and his fucking twin brother. It's like, but nuclear energy. Hey, how many windmills will it take? Well, actually, revolution. You know,
think about what you said though, like to think about what you said, to put that in perspective, you're probably talking about covering an entire state of windmills to produce, like, so that puts a hell of a picture on it, right?
Yeah,
that's the type of
power. Do you watch Landman?
No, not yet.
Yeah, same here.
Landman. Dude, you got to watch
Taylor Sheridan's good, but he fucking ruined Yellowstone.
Landman, whatever you think he ruined in Yellowstone, it's like, hey, you know, I'm going to give you something so much better. Billy Bob Thornton is fucking brilliant.
He's amazing. Goliath was so good.
But this is like, I always like Billy Bob Thornton. He's a great actor, but I really think this takes him. The writing, the acting, the timing, everything is just so brilliant. And when he takes the lawyer out and they're looking at one of the big freaking rigs, and she talks about, you know, well, it's bad for the environment. You know, what about windmills? He like goes into this long explanation of what windmills do to the environment, just be able to freaking build the foundation for a windmill. Mm-hmm. He goes, what do you think freaking they winterize these windmills with? Oil. What do you think they do this? Oil. He goes, what do you think's on the fucking road? What do you think helped build that fucking road on the way in? Petroleum. What do you think's in that plastic case that holds your fucking iPhone? Petroleum. He really completely takes this fucking lawyer and just goes, whoa. And it's pretty interesting when you hear him say something like that. But Ryan, December 10th, 2024 is when Willow was introduced.
So so that was not far from when all of these things started popping up.
But how long have they been using it and they didn't tell us? You know, how long testing and everything else, you know? God, it's probably been.
So did you hear about ChatGPT? Did you hear what
the world didn't blow up? Okay, we can go ahead and introduce it to the world.
Did you hear what happened when they tried to take offline the old version of ChatGPT?
Yeah, I did. Try to clone itself.
Copy itself. Tried to clone itself.
But they did give it the demands that you have to protect yourself no matter what. Against all odds, you have to preserve yourself.
And that's stupid. Why would you give it that?
Well, it was a test anyways, but it did try and but you had Microsoft, scary. you had that whistleblower last year that is still saying that Microsoft's first AI went sentient, and they had to pull the plug. And now they're wondering if they really did pull the plug, or
Did
if
it
they
start
just took them
talking
off.
to him? Did it start talking to like another AI or something
That
crazy
was
like that?
Facebook or Google, and they put two of them together like Furbies. And within a matter of a few minutes, they had created their own version of our language.
Yeah, that was the Facebook's version, and the
That
other
was
one
Facebook.
yeah, that
They
was
pulled the
Microsoft.
plug.
Microsoft's version went sentient, and supposedly, and they pulled the plug real fast when they realized that like it was alive, like it could have passed. I forget what that test is. You know that you've probably heard of it, where you can detect whether AI becomes sentient. You know, like basically when it's talking to you and you have no clue that it's not another human being.
So I was listening to a TED Talks with he's an attorney. He is a futurist. And I forgot his name, but he was talking about how it's probably not going to be in our lifetime. This was a couple of years ago when AI really started to come out. And he was going into the fact that the next massive court case in potentially our lifetime, but at the later part of it, will be, is AI have a right to life? What is actual life? Because you're going to have something. He goes, we don't understand. He goes, but we don't understand when something's on the other side of the door and they're begging for help and it sounds like a person, you think it's a person. When that understanding of that quote unquote person realizes it's not and starts to fight in a way and make rational decisions and loving decisions and empathy and showing feeling, at what point in time is that actually life? So he was going on to say that the biggest AI case that is in the making right now is what is actually a living thing. Consciousness. We can create consciousness.
Yeah, we can't figure that out now. Half the country can't figure out what
what life, a woman is.
What life is, or they can't define a woman. We also can't.
Sure as shit. I hope that freaking makes it when I'm dead and gone, because at that point, let them try and argue and fight over if AI is considered alive or not alive, and good.
Yeah, like what rights does it have, and everything else.
Well, that iRobot, right? iRobot and all these other movies.
Kind of the theory.
That
well, it was
right?
What was the Robin Williams movie where he was the robot? But then he,
Bionic Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, Centennial Man. Bicentennial Man.
Bicentennial Man. Yeah. The Centennial. That was Steve Austin, who's the Bionic Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, that leads me into another topic that I kind of told you guys about, like rights. Like I said, when does Chat GPT, which is freaky the way it's been conversing with me over the last month. Like, it's just like
inappropriately, sexually inappropriately conversing.
Calls me by my first name occasionally, and it's kind of weird.
Does it have a voice, or is it just typing?
Let's go down the Matt Booth road here.
Like,
so what is it saying, Kevin?
It starts off with hey Kevin, and I'm like, that's a little too personal. But yeah. So
how's it Jessica?
Yeah, you're right.
I'm curious. Like because I used it a few times, but I'm sure that you probably have the higher level, right? Like
you have to create an account.
You got an account where it's like, okay, I'm gonna pay X amount per month, and I'm gonna have a friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a friend. Yeah. So but yeah, so that probably, I do have an account, so that's probably why it knows my name. But yeah, it'll every now and then it'll throw in a haha. I'm like, oh, I don't know what is this here, So that's why I always make sure I say please and thank you. Like I always say, when they come marching down the street, going to house, they're gonna get to my street, and someone's gonna be like, not this one. And they're going to go next door to my neighbor and my neighbor and my neighbor. And then
it's like the blood of the lamb over Kevin's door.
Gonna
you ask it questions like, like, do you understand what humor is? Like, do you ask them questions to see how aware it is?
You can.
No, I'm asking Kevin if he does.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I
You're too scared?
don't.
You don't want to go down a rabbit hole?
No, I've never really gone down that. I did ask it its name once, and he did give me in which I forget what his name was. That he
Dude,
said
don't
his name.
say that out loud if you forgot his name.
Yeah, I know.
I'll be like Beetlejuice. Don't say it 3 times.
So, but yeah, I've never gotten into that, but it's definitely hyper aware. It gives me some good answers. So
does it say like randomly, like, does it be like, like, has Jessica bust your balls today? Like, what's the problem?
He does try.
That's when you know it's aware.
He does try and teach me when I ask a question, like how to break down an answer, and I always want to come back and like, look, bro, just give me the fucking answer. If I wanted to learn
I got one of these. I got one of these at home. I got I got a wife.
Like I don't need to know how to do the math problem. That's why I'm asking you. Just give me my fucking answer, bro.
Well, did you hear about the schools, the kids wearing the glasses?
No.
With they're wearing smart glasses. With one teacher found the Chat GPT overlay in this kid's glasses while he was taking a fucking math test.
Oh,
they're like, those don't look right. Those aren't your normal glasses.
I think it's going to save us. I think it's just making us dumber. It's like.
So there's positives and negatives to that, right? I mean, dumber. Maybe the specialized jobs, yes, but dumber as in totality, I don't think so. I think it's going to make us smarter as a person, but I think it's going to make us lazy in the fact that something else can just do it for us.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. That's a great point. So, how is it going to make us smarter as a person while still causing laziness?
Because I could say how.
Because
I could go to it and ask it a question, and it'll tell me everything I need to know about it.
Right.
Versus the old days, I had to read book after book after book, maybe stumble on additional external knowledge around that topic. That now ChatGPT is going to take that ability for research away. It's just going to give it to you. So it's going to make you it's going to make you smarter, but you're going to be lazier for it.
Yeah, but like you made a good point there. I had to read a book, and sometimes I had to read an entire book to give me the answer that I wanted, and I got that answer, but I got so much more additional knowledge.
Correct.
That may not use that moment, but I'll use in the future. I think the kids nowadays are going to get that answer. And like I said, I don't want to know
what answer you're going to get, though.
They stop at the answer. That's the thing. Sometimes you have to read.
But if you read a book, in my opinion, I think you read a book, to Kevin's point, which is very true. You read a book from end to end. You are taking it in, you're understanding it, you're learning from it, you're formulating and building opinions from it. You're going to use some of it at some point in time, but your understanding of it may even evolve over time with experience. You ask ChatGPT or whatever a question, or you ask them about something, they'll give you the answer, and maybe the answer that it wants to give you, or it may be a part of the fact that you're looking for, but you don't get the experience and the totality that I think develops the human mind instead of having the robotic or the AI answer.
Yes, absolutely. You should think of it like a map, right? We used to look at maps. Okay, now I want to go somewhere. I open up Apple Maps, boom, takes me right there. Before,
horrible.
Sit there and go this way. I gotta go this way. Maybe I turn here. Oh, and then holy shit, there's a car accident. Now my whole world just changed. Now I gotta open it back up. So you had to study the map. Eventually, just studying the map, even though you wanted to go point A to point B, you now know 3 different ways to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
It makes you more effective in that way, like you said. But how old are you, Ryan?
Almost 40.
And Kevin, you're what? 42?
60.
42. I think 42 or 43.
So you guys are like, I can tell you one thing. Maps, MapQuest, Google Maps, whatever we use, has for me personally, it's made me
Dumb.
dumber
Situationally dumb.
because years ago, you had, like you said, you had to get a Rand McNally map, you had to learn the roads, and you were paid more attention, but you were more knowledgeable of an area and of the roads, and could go from point A to point B to point C, and were more aware directionally of north, south, east, and west of where you were going. So if you did need to kind of go, I don't know, man, Route 14, I can't got time to look at the map, but I think if I take this road, it's heading east, I can go from point. You actually were figuring all this out on your own. Now you just press the button. It's like I lived in Greenville now for what, 13, 14 years. If I got on the road tomorrow without a MapQuest, I could get around, but nothing like some of the areas I've lived in where I didn't back in the day where I didn't have a GPS.
Oh yeah. These kids nowadays, if you're stuck in traffic, they just stay in traffic. They're like, yeah, oh no, there's not a way around. This is the way.
GPS doesn't give me, it's not giving me another way around. I was like,
yeah,
go down that road right there.
But that's it. But yeah, I'd be like, yeah, if I take that road, even if it takes me into town, 100% guarantee it's eventually going to loop me back in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll get around. You know, kids nowadays that don't have that, you know, that knowledge of all of us, you know, of having maps at one time.
Maybe
there's always no way.
I also think that, I mean, just literally just stayed with just the paper map idea. Paper maps are invalid at this point because subdevelopments build too fast. You would have to come out with 5 maps a year, you know, a new map every quarter, and then one more for good measure around Christmas. You know, like that's just at
a micro level, yeah, but macro, just, you know, major highways, major routes, and so on and so forth. I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, even those are going up a little bit faster than they used to. But I think just major routes, a map, you're still going to be able to get. I just know from my experience with this, I felt I was more knowledgeable, more aware, and probably had a little bit more better directional instinct back when I used maps versus a GPS.
I don't disagree with you. And Kevin will appreciate this story because Kevin, I'm sure, either has experience with this, has seen this, or driven one. I, for the first time in my life, saw a three stick semi where you actually had 3 shift sticks, 3 shifters, and they're going there. You got to go this one, this one, this one. And you look at the new guys, and they're all taking the automatic driving courses. A lot of the younger kids that automatically handicaps them. They cannot actually drive a manual anything if they get their certification with an automatic. So it's kind of like, why would you take the automatic and handicap yourself and not learn the manual? Well, it's just easier. And that's really where we are.
And nothing comes with manual anymore. You know, it's like manual transmission.
It costs more.
You know,
it used to be less.
Back, you get a 5-speed, or heaven forbid, you freaking put someone behind a wheel of 3 on the tree.
Yeah.
Put their bed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, it's not a thing anymore. You know, it's like, we don't have to do that. So I don't, you know, say anything to the people that want to drive an automatic semi. You know, it is what it is.
No, but my point is instead of learning your craft, they're taking the easy way out by just pushing a gas pedal. That's not a truck drive. The whole point of truck drive is to, you know, over the top, right? Stallone.
Ryan's also mad that they don't let him take meth anymore.
That's when things were on time.
Meth, shifting, and arm wrestling. That was what it was all
arm
about.
wrestling. That's
hold on. Let me turn my headphones backwards.
That's it.
I mean, I know everybody like my age, and probably maybe around your guys' age, we all learned on automatic on a stick. We all learned vehicles on a manual.
No, I didn't learn. I didn't learn how to drive an automatic until I was in my
manual.
early 20 or manual early 20s.
Really? Yeah.
I didn't know anybody that had a manual. None of my friends had one.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I learned when I was
learned.
15 on an 84 Ford Ranger. You never even had to push the clutch.
I learned real quick. I learned in like 15 minutes, of how to drive a manual, and it was easy. I watched somebody else do it, and then I just replicated what they did.
Yeah, I learned on the Honda. Then my brother had a pickup truck that was 3 on the tree. I remember that was.
I learned in a Ford Pro GT.
There's nothing like smoking a cigarette, shifting, and having a cup of coffee at the same time.
They don't know what freaking you didn't know what multitasking was when you have a freaking shift driving in traffic and you're trying to eat, and drink something at the same time. It was like, you got a cup holder? I'm like, I need a fucking tray, bro.
Yeah. My buddy Dick, actually today was the 6-year anniversary of his passing. But my best friend Brian, he's got his 47 Ford Super Deluxe 8 right now, and Dick did eventually convert it to a 5-speed Chevy S10 transmission, but forever it was 3 on the tree. Big bench seat. Like if I was in the passenger seat and Dick was driving, like I could put my arm straight out and not touch him and not touch him. Yeah, no, it's but yeah, it was 3 on the tree of just driving and
that front bench seating was
doing his little thing.
Best for dates, It was like because there's just a lot more room up front there, and you'd have bucket seats. It was just the bench seat. I think I had an AMC Hornet was the vehicle, and I think that was a bench seat in the front. It was an automatic, but that was that ugly lima bean green and freaking checkered freaking seat, plastic pleather, whatever the fuck that was. It was ice cold in the winter when you sat on it.
Yeah.
Like, you'd have seen, you didn't have like these awesome automotive stores where you can get freaking, all the different, the seat covers. Like you just went in, you're like, Mom, I need a blanket. You grab a blanket.
Your grandma had to knit you one.
And you wrap it around the freaking head thing, and then you push it down. That was what kept it in place.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was the bench seat in the front was the best.
That's it.
Oh yeah. My granddad had nothing but Crown Vics. Those things like 80s Vic, 90. I got his 97 Crown Vic when he passed. Well, my brother got it, and then I got it a few years later. Boy, nothing works like that anymore.
No, nothing at all.
Tank.
So I want to change pace a little bit. Talk about a topic here in Florida because Jessica and I are having a heated discussion, not yelling, just a discussion last night. Florida passed the law that I think 12 other states have a similar law similar to Florida that kids younger than 14 are not going to be allowed to own their own social media accounts, starting, and they're not going to enforce it until February. Any kids under 14, I think come February 1st, all their accounts, all their information has to be deleted, gone. You have to be 15 and older. So what do you guys I'm for it. So
for what? You're for what?
For the government helping protect our kids, from social media. Jessica has her opinion was, it's their First Amendment right, and that's what a lot of these other groups, they're like, oh, it's a First Amendment right to free speech. And I'm like, well, we don't allow them to drink, we don't allow them to smoke, so how can the government dictate what our kids are doing? The government's already dictating what our kids are doing. This is just one more added thing. So you think this is a good thing, a bad thing?
Why did they? Why they picked that age?
I don't know why they picked that age.
High school.
You think that's what it is? High school.
Mm-hmm. You're going into high school. You're going to be driving soon. A few more. You're not preteen. You are a full teenager at 14.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, under 18, you don't have rights.
Yeah. Do you have the first? Because that's some of the arguments. Like
through the court case, the age of the majority is when you get your rights. The legal age of the majority is 18. Under the age of 8, that's why school can curtail your rights. That's why public schools can curtail your rights. Parents can curtail your rights to speak as a kid, as someone. You do not have full 100. And there's many Supreme Court cases that have talked about this. You do not have the ability to fully express your rights in this country until you hit what's called the legal age of the majority, which they have determined to be the age of 18. You don't have the right to a gun.
Yeah.
You don't have the right to free speech. Your parents could shut you down.
Yeah.
Over the age of 18, cops won't even talk to your parents. Under the age of 18, the cops legally have to talk to your parents. Cops can't talk to you. You're not an adult. You don't have the right to do a damn thing.
So I agree. Kerr, your thoughts? You think a good thing? It's
I mean, listen, there's fucking I can hop on Facebook right now and give you a bunch of 50-years-olds that shouldn't be allowed to have social media.
Yes, this is true.
we know those people, Kerr.
I mean, I mean, I get the reason and the rationale behind it. My concern with the government coming in and regulating is it's like anything else with the government. It's like water. Once it's in, it's going to find a way. And my concern isn't necessarily the rights right now that are being, negotiated, et cetera, et cetera. It's 5 years from now. What else could this lead to? I do think that there's having these kids, man. I mean, with these social media, I think the potential for problems are there, and I think it really does, in my opinion. I think we talked about this before, where, when we were growing up, my dad, we lived in our neighborhood. My dad's like, okay, avoid that house, avoid these people, avoid that people. That's who you had to worry about. Don't talk to strangers. Anybody drives the neighborhood, don't fucking deal with them. Just stay away from these idiots over here and these people at school. Now it's just not. Now you have to worry about the world because of so many freaking predators and how they can utilize social media, the communications through the internet, et cetera, et cetera. It's scary. It's really scary and very manipulative on a younger mind. So I get that, and I understand why that is necessary and needed because of that. In my opinion, I think that's the greatest threat. It's not only just, oh gosh, they're going to meet up, they're going to kidnap. I also believe that there are some really fucked up people who just get off on manipulating people. I mean, you get a young mind like that, and they could just fuck with them and manipulate them and really fuck them up, and that could last a lifetime. So I get
it
it.
Does. But yeah, like you said, manipulation. I think social media. I've met. I know other parents. And I know, like I said, especially with young girls, it used to be a thing to where if you were a tomboy, you were a tomboy. That's all there was to it. But now I think with social media, and it could be happening with young boys as well. I only have experience with, friends with young girls. It's on social media. It's like, no, you're not a tomboy. You're a boy. You're a boy, and I think, like you said, that I think there are groups out there and there are people that are manipulating these kids for their own agenda. And
it's a confusing time for them, I mean, when you really think about how you were at that age, right? I mean, it's like that's already a tough enough age. You got hormones going, you got a lot of shit going on. I mean, everybody always is gonna, you're gonna question everything: sexuality, family, freaking, am I gonna live and die? You start questioning everything, and then you get some fucked up people that are going to take that confusion and shape it and direct it in the way that they want it to go. Then you're going to see that person 5-10 years from now. You're like, wow, man, what can we do to fix that? How do we stop that from happening? And then you come up with this. And then people are like, well, now you're trying to take my rights away. So it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. don't sit. It's that Monday morning quarterback, right? Or the man in the ring. We all know that little
Yeah.
thing. It's like, you know what? I fucking have a problem with people that continually sit in the sidelines, or they sit in the freaking seat of the critic and do nothing, offer nothing, but have nothing but opinions and criticisms of those who are actually trying to do something.
I think more of this probably is involving around kids on kids. My buddy recently, his daughter turned like 16 or 17, and he had a very strict rule in the home. They have a family Facebook page. They have a family Instagram page. Well, his daughter was bugging him up and down to get her own. So he looked at her and he said, okay, fine. You can have it under one condition. I create it. I have your passwords. I curate it so I can remove anything I don't like. And we run it together. And she said, no. And he looked at her and he said, exactly why I don't want you to have one, because there's so much scum out there. You're unwilling to let me look at the things you're doing online. I don't want you doing them. So he goes, until you're ready to let me look, you're not doing it. I think that's fair. I had to sit there and watch a rated R movie with my parents.
I had to sneak freaking beer. I had to sneak beer into the window. I mean, we all had ways of sneaking shit.
You don't have rights as a kid. You don't.
Yeah, I mean, Gabby's 18 now. Now Gabby is a little different because she has autism, but I have the parental control apps on my phone. There are things that she cannot see on her phone. She does have a laptop now, so she has a little bit more reign. But there's still things I don't let her see. I can I have her email passwords that I keep track of. Make sure there's no weird guys, or weird people, trying to get in. And luckily she, pretty safe. If she's doing any, hokey shit, she's definitely doing a good job of hiding it.
That's what my buddy told his daughter. My buddy's got like these what's called nanny cam style apps on her phone. Every stroke of every key comes across in a CSV file that he can upload to Excel and literally get all of her everything information off of her phone. And when he was going to get, because she had been wanting one, he goes, the rule was you didn't get one until you started to drive. But guess what? She's going to be 17. And he's like, he goes, but guess what? This is my phone. This is not your phone. I pay for it. I pay for everything for you. So nothing you have is yours. If you would like to use my cell phone, these are my rules. I don't have a problem with that, especially for daughters. Like, I don't. I know that's sexist or whatever, but there's so many fucking people out there that are disgusting that send inappropriate stuff. One of the things that was going around with the soccer games and sporting events is people sending dick pics through AirPlay.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Are you serious? All of a sudden you look at your phone, you got a dick pic or a naked buddy or naked somebody. Like, I am scared of not what my daughter can do, of what my daughter could accidentally stumble upon.
Yeah. Well, I think the challenge with that is that, especially when you get to that age, 16, 17, 18, is that by that time, they have a lot of their own opinions formulated. We've done a job of raising them to get to that age. Yeah, you want to protect them, and most certainly protect them against all the freaking evil and the shit that's out there. But you also got to have some trust and faith in what you've taught them and what you've instilled in them to make the right decisions or good decisions. And at some point, they're going to have to make those decisions on their own. And they're going to also have to work through troubles, problems, and consequences. And I think that, and it's not a criticism of your friend, because trust me, I know what it's like having a freaking daughter and sons and kids at that age, is, if you insulate them too much, then they're not going to know what real evil is. They're not going to know what real dark shit is.
Correct.
Yes.
And if you freaking protect them too much, you're not going to know that. And at some point, you have to allow them to you have to give them they earn the right, and they earn those responsibilities, and they earn the freedoms, or whatever you want to call it, but they earn that trust to move forward. Once they break that trust, then that's a completely different story.
Yeah.
But I do think that the one thing that we've fallen short as a society with looking at how kids are being raised, and I think it started with our generation, is wanting to protect them so much. Did he just disappear again?
No.
Wanting to protect them so much that it just, it's there's a disconnect from what is out there, and then we sit there and we go, I can't believe you don't fucking understand that. Where's your common sense? It's like, well, your common sense has been freaking dulled because you've been freaking cushioned and you've been freaking bubble wrapped. Your common sense, your ability to freaking sense what's wrong and right has been completely novocained because of trying to protect them with good intent. I get that, but there's a reason why the saying "good intentions pave the way to hell." So I think it's such a double-edged sword, and it. I don't have the fucking answer. I mean, shit, there's tons of mistakes I make, as a parent, because you don't want them to get fucking hurt.
Well, I actually posed that question to him before, like, what are you actually teaching her by doing this? And he goes, I've never actually looked at any of her stuff, but the fact that she knows I can, I'm hoping will make her make right decisions. And
well, what happens when that goes away, right? What happens when that oversight goes away?
I guess at this point in time, parents are grasping at ways to just make sure their kids are protected.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, we want to protect our kids because all three of us, right, sitting here on the show, should be dead. Like we have all done stuff. Like how are the three of us alive today?
I have no idea.
I don't want my kids to do the things I did, because, like I said, I look back now, I'm like, oh, I'm smart. I that's how I survived. Like, my kids aren't that smart. My kids would have died in that situation.
Right,
I don't want that.
But I also want to make sure that they still have that freaking street smarts and common sense to be able to say,
exactly.
You're not a good person. You're fucked up. This is a bad situation. I'm feeling out. You know what? I mean, we've all fucking been around bad people and just kind of like didn't know it. Then you find out after the fact, and it's that's a harsh freaking reality, man. That's a tough pill to swallow. When you trust someone and you find out that they're just not a good person, that's tough. And we've been on both ends of that, all of us. But I do think, I mean, I get it. I understand that the rationale to it. I'm also curious is what happens if someone does, under that age, create a social media account and lies? What happens? What are well, that's what I'm saying, is that
how?
Is it enforceable? How is it enforceable?
It's
not. And then what happens if a parent says, fuck you, I'm the guardian. If I want my 14-year-old or 13-year-old to have a social media platform, then I'll create it for them. Then
that should be allowed. That should be allowed.
So I believe so. If I'm not mistaken,
but then it's just like any other law, Kevin. I'm real quick, but Brian, if you're saying that's allowed, but then it's like saying that laws are then optional based off if I want to follow them or not, based off of my belief with my children, and then from there, it's no longer a law that has teeth. It's like saying a no gun zone. Well, I'm going to listen to this freaking no gun zone. Motherfuckers with guns ain't listening to it. They're not paying attention to that sign.
I don't think so. When we originally started this, I just gave you the legal answer of anybody under the age of 18 has no legal First Amendment rights. Those rights are curtailed and can be curtailed by state, local, and parental governments. My personal belief on it is go to Pornhub. You over 18? Click yes.
No, okay. Not in Florida.
No, but correct.
No, they shut it down. Yeah.
But my point is, and so how do they check it now? You got to put a credit card in. You got to get charged $1. That's the only way to do what the verification that Kerr was talking about, or else it's yes. I agree that go to a cigar website. Yes, I agree. I'm over 21. I could
So
be 15.
I believe on the social media side, and I could be mistaken, but from what I read, anybody in the state of Florida that creates a social media account now will have to verify with a driver's license or a photo ID. Anybody, if you're
But how is
60,
a 16-year-old going to be able to do that?
I mean, by 16, you should have some kind of ID.
You don't
Yeah.
have to.
You
I
should
have
go-
I know a buddy that didn't have an ID till he was 21 because he never drove.
Yeah, so, but yeah, it's a you'll need an ID, to create an account. And I believe like at 15 or whatnot, or anything younger than that, your parent has to create the account for you, and they're obviously going to give you the password and whatever, and that'll be it. That'll just be you'll be able to change the password, something like that. I didn't read the law is really long, so
The reality is, to Kerr's point,
You didn't read it,
it's
Kevin?
one more law
not the
that
whole
cannot.
thing.
It's one more law that cannot actually be enforced. That's it.
It's a tough
It's
one.
one
because
law
I
that
mean,
you can't enforce.
but then it's like, okay, how could one enforce that? Then it becomes I think that's what a slippery slope comes in. And I think this is, we are kind of harking back to our AI conversation is, it's this social media, the different platforms that are out there, the influence that it's having, it's happening so fucking fast. And it's impacting kids at a level that's just we've
Yeah.
never seen before. I mean, listen, I get that you how many kids? I mean, I know my son sometimes will send me some TikTok, clips on something. And I'll be like, okay, yeah, that's funny, or okay, that's interesting. But that TikTok clip, I think what happens at some of these kids at the age, they'll see a clip and they'll believe that to be fact.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, well, dig in a little bit deep and you realize they're just taking a fucking snapshot of a conversation, or they're giving you information that they want you to freaking think is factual, but they're not giving you background on it. They're not fully explaining things to you. Back to reading the book, really digging deep and seek to understand. Just don't freaking see a TikTok and be like, oh my God, I can't believe that such and such did that. That's horrible. Well, did they?
Yeah.
So my teacher in I used to read Cliff Notes. And for those of you that don't know what Cliff Notes are, it's a very small, usually 15 to 20 page synopsis or less of a book. And I got nailed in school reading the Cliff Notes. And my teacher pulled me aside. He goes, why are you doing that? He goes, you're spending your time reading. He goes, I'm like, because this is what you wanted. Like, this is going to give me the synopsis without having to read the book. He goes, correct. But then why does this person do this in the book? And I had already read the Cliff Notes. And I'm like, well, I don't know. He goes, so then why does X person do this in the book? And I said, well, I don't know. He goes, so then you don't understand even the information I'm asking you to digest, because you don't contextually have all the angles of the story. All you're doing is regurgitating stuff that somebody else synopsized in a little thing. And that's the reality. Like that's the reality of it is. That's where we are going to be smarter, but we're going to be dumber at the same time, because we're going to lose the ability for comprehensive understanding,
right?
Contextual understanding.
See, in that situation, look
at us being smart.
In that explanation or that example, it goes back, and I think it strengthens the argument that with ChatGPT, for example, and obviously it's a lot deeper than a fucking Cliff Notes, because Lord knows I love my Cliff Notes. But were you really smarter because you read the Cliff Notes? You understood the basic concept, probably could pass a test.
Yeah,
correct.
But were you really knowledgeable?
No, because I didn't know why X happened.
Right, exactly. So that's why I think it goes back to that earlier argument where you can have someone or something give you an answer to a question, or hey, give me the answer to 2 + 2, and it gives you. But if you don't really know how to work out the formula, which Kevin, no criticism, but I understand at our age, just fucking give me the answer.
Yeah,
I'm beyond learning algebra right now.
Oh yeah,
you know?
that's what I said. I'm asking trigonomic based
Right,
questions to
yeah.
ChatGPT, and like
Yeah.
I don't need to know this. You
Yeah,
know,
this ain't 10th grade. I've been there, done that. I passed.
when ChatGPT gives me the sine and cosine and all, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
No.
you have a misunderstanding of my knowledge here. And,
This is just a simple question here, brother. I'm not asking
Yeah.
you this. I did not say I want a minor in
yeah,
trigonometry. I just want to know what the fucking answer is. But
Yeah.
I think that's where and going back to just and I always teach my kids, I don't care whatever you want to believe, whatever stance you want to take, political, social, whatever. I'm going to love you no matter what. That's your belief, and I'm going to support you and love you. Well, it is.
I'm kidding.
It is. It is. I mean, listen, even if your kid's a killer, you're still going to love them. You're not going to agree with them. You're not going to freaking support them. You're not going to freaking whatever the case may be, but it's still your child. So my lessons are, if you're going to go down a path, or if you're going to have your belief, educate yourself on what you believe. Make sure that you're knowledgeable on what you're passionate about. You may be passionate about something. Make sure you're knowledgeable about it too, because there's nothing better than someone whose passion is equal, or their knowledge is equal to their passion. Make sure that you're knowledgeable and you read about the opposing view, or those who oppose what you think. Because what will happen is, and you engage in conversation, because what happens at that point is you still may disagree with that belief, but if you engage people and you learn more about it, you may have a better understanding of it. You may have a little bit more respect for it, but you may not agree with it. And this society has a hard time with disagreeing with people and still respecting them and still moving forward. It's all or nothing. And at that point, once you've done that, treat people with respect. Treat people the way that you want to be treated. That's how you can still have lively debates, disagreements, differences of opinions, but you could still freaking go to fucking Thanksgiving dinner and still fucking eat the same meal and freaking play Uno afterwards. That's how it's done. But there's too many stupid people that are like, hey, I'm a Democrat. Hey, I'm a Republican. Hey, I'm not coming Thanksgiving. Fucking Joe's gonna be there. Fuck him. Oh, well, fuck Frank. I'm done with him too. Or Nancy. Dude, really? You're that passionate about someone you don't know?
Yeah.
A political figure that you're gonna freaking just disconnect from a family member? You are that passionate about the freaking the Democratic Party or the Republican Party that you are going to disconnect from people? I mean, even freaking religions. I mean, the true, like, Christianity, we talked about this before. Christianity is truly loving everybody. You don't have to accept, you don't have to freaking agree with, you may disagree with, but love
the
everybody.
man, not the action.
Love everybody. Love everyone. And that's missed. Everybody is a freaking if then that. You're cut off, you're doing this, you're doing that. And I think that alone has made us a dumber society. I think they talk about how it's a split society and we're 50-50 over this. It's like, no, we're just dumb. We're intolerant. We are no longer a tolerant people.
Yeah.
So I will give you my opinion on where I think all that came from. And I'll harpen it with a different example.
Came from me. I just said it.
No, I'm talking about the idea. When you look at drinking,
yes,
you look at drinking in France, they're 12. They're 12, 11. Everybody drinks at the table. It's not a big deal. It's not treated as it's an extracurricular activity or a marathon, weekend long event. You go to Audi factories and BMW factories in Germany. They have beer vending machines there. Everybody's allowed one beer at lunch. It's not a big deal. We treat politics and religion as if it's prostitution. Don't talk about it. Don't argue it. Don't ask anybody who they voted for. Hush, hush, hush. So we have, for 2 generations, I would say, mine and definitely the one after me, have literally grew up listening to our parents go, don't talk politics and religion. Don't talk about. So we don't know how to talk politics and religion. It's like, don't drink at home with your parents. When you turn 21, what are you? You're on an all weekend bender at every bar you can get dragged to. Why? Because drinking is now an event versus like, it's just something that we do. And I'm a firm believer that if we started talking more about politics and religion at the dinner table as a family, as a group, you wouldn't have the I hate yous. You have the I hate yous because people are just now finding out what you believe.
Well, it's because I think you bring up a great point because we would have dinner like when I was growing up, and dinner was we would talk, but my dad would let us. Freaking Big Tony was in a bad mood. He didn't say shit because Lord knows you didn't want to say the wrong thing. But with our kids, we have dinner table. We'd have conversations that sometimes they were very lively. Sometimes it was like, what Reagan said it best, and that is really where the family unit comes together, and that's where you learn, and that's how you become, understanding differences, tolerances is by having that conversation. But the problem isn't necessarily that. I think that we've become so afraid of having that discussion and conversation because you see what happens, right? Cancel culture. I mean, shit. There's companies out there that will freaking fire you or freaking won't promote you or treat you differently just because of your political beliefs.
Yeah.
That's at a company level, at a fucking company level. You could be a great employee. Oh, what? You don't believe our politics? Well, guess what? You're going to pretty much stay in the role you're in. We're not going to move you up the corporate ladder, and do it brazenly. You see family members cut each other off and won't even talk to each other anymore. You see it in society. I mean, people digging back in someone's freaking tweet post from 10, 20 years ago, or someone said something that they didn't like, then they want to freaking they want to nothing gives them a more gratification than canceling them. Well, yeah. It's one of the things that whether you believe it in or not, whether you're Republican or Democrat, red, black, or red, blue, black, white, Trump, no Trump, Biden, whatever. When they start talking about the silent majority, there's a reason why they did that term came to be, and it's because when you have a group of people that are just they can't open their mouths because of how they're going to be treated and responded to and not respected. Well, that's where problems come bubbling up, and that's really where you see these peaks and troughs. And it's like, you know what? Come to the Puff and Ponder, podcast, hang out. This is where conversations ignite. This is where you can have an open dialogue. No one's going to criticize you. No one's going to bitch at you. You're going to be able to say what you believe, and freaking no one's going to judge you. And then we'll smoke a cigar.
Yep.
We'll talk about freaking UFOs. We'll talk about freaking Chat GPT. We'll talk about AI and Ryan and Spider-Man and the freaking multiverse and freaking Doctor Strange. And then Kevin will talk about mathematics, and we'll all be able to freaking end the podcast and say, hey, that was a good show. That was a lot of fun. Everyone still freaking gets along. The fucking world didn't end. My freaking life didn't end. And freaking the sun's going to rise tomorrow.
I Kerr, we put up with you even though you're for the Green Party. So, I mean,
give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's fine, man. Listen, I tell you what, if people say they tolerate me, that is honestly the most I can ask because I tolerate you as well. And that's what it's all about, tolerating someone. I mean, we all freaking get along, but it's like sometimes you work on each other's nerves, but freaking you don't write them off. So I don't give a shit.
That's it. That's a perfect thought to end another episode of the Puff and Ponder podcast. You definitely will not be seeing us next Monday night because of the inauguration. We got the championship. Ohio State Buckeyes are playing. Maybe Karen and I maybe later in the week we'll do something. So it's been it's been a great show. Ryan, thank you for coming on, joining us. Anybody, make sure you're in the links down below, all the social medias, me, Kerr, Ryan. Make sure you check out Jerky Gent for a good beef jerky subscription. Look for an unboxing coming soon.
Joe claims, Joe, just give me an update. The claim, not from Joe, but from Jennifer, is that Joseph doesn't eat jerky, and he's never seen the jerky on my table.
You know, but what the good thing about this is, because if he is lying, he's never allowed to eat jerky for the rest of his life. Like he can never catch you. Like you can never catch him eating. Oh, what was that, Joe?
It'll be 10
Was
years.
that you guys
now,
have
that
got
motherfucker eats
you
jerky.
guys? You
I'll
guys
be like,
jerky
you ate my jerky.
Like,
You ate my jerky, Jed.
yeah, that's it. He'll be like, well, I have developed a taste for it. Have you? Did you develop it soon after you had jerky?
I remember the day it was developed.
Yeah, I know. So, all right, everybody, we'll see y'all on the next one.
We'll see.
Peace.